Hi, everybody. It's Eric Murray from the SugarHuddle.com. Well, last year when the Saints swept the Carolina Panthers, Cam Jordan and company from the Saints sent every single Panthers player a bottle of wine and a broomstick to represent the sweep of Carolina. And players from the Panthers, including Cam Newton, certainly didn't forget that coming into Monday night's home game against the Saints. But, of course, in Carolina's case, came into the game on a 5-game losing streak. Cam himself, of course, banged up shoulder, hasn't been playing well lately. So that was going to be a challenge trying to beat these Saints, who, of course, were favored to win this game. Number one team in the NFC right now, let alone, obviously, the NFC South. So, Carolina had a tough one on their hands, but Carolina can be a tough place to play. And the Saints learned that because the Panthers had a 7-6 halftime lead. Of course, the big play in the first half, the Panthers at the 50-yard line, 4th and inches. Coach Ron Rivera, known as Riverboat Ron, decided to go for it, which isn't surprising. I mean, very makeable 4th down conversion. But he decides to pitch it out to Christian McCaffrey and do a halfback pass to Chris Manhertz, a backup tight end, for the 50-yard score. Wide open, obviously, on the play. But they led 7-6 at half. And then things kind of got interesting in the second half because, Carolina, they had a nice completion. It was Curtis Samuel had like a 20-some yard completion, and it was another Ohio State product, safety Von Bell, who punched it out. The Saints are able to take it 84 yards down the field on the ensuing possession, which included Alvin Kamara in the fourth quarter bouncing it outside for a 16-yard touchdown. At that point, it was 12-7, so obviously you go for two, try to make a 14-7 game. Well, nowadays with the NFL rulebook, you can return an interception or fumble or whatever on a 2-point conversion try if you're the opposing defense. Well, Drew Brees is trying to desperately throw the ball into the end zone, 2-point try. A little bit of miscommunication on the route running. It's picked off by Dante Jackson, who takes it 100 yards the other way for the 2 points to make it a 12-9 game. So a pick two, and I'm not talking about the lottery, I'm talking about the 2-point conversion return. So a 12-9 game. A lot different than being a 7-point game. Now it's a 3-point game. Nonetheless, though, Carolina, they couldn't do much with it. They gave it right back to the Saints. Saints put together another long drive that was well over 5 minutes long. They had a 4th and inches inside the 20-yard line. They pitched it out to Alvin Kamara. Kamara looked like he was going to get stopped for about 2 or 3 yard loss. Thomas Davis, who had 12 tackles, crashed in, and Kamara, who's a tremendous athlete, a lot of speed, great running back, was able to just beautifully stop on a dime and then was able to go forward and get the first down. But the way the clock kind of turned out and trying to milk the clock and everything, they were able to get it down a little bit outside of a minute. But the thing about it is they were still going to have to try to throw the ball to get another first down to try to ice the game. And, of course, the next first down would have been at the 1-yard line. So what they do, they get creative with a handoff. Backup wide receiver Tommy Lee Lewis, who's also a return man, gets the handoff, the inside handoff, bounces to the outside, but he tries to stretch for the touchdown, gets knocked out of his hands, and goes out of the end zone for the touchback. So a tough break for the Saints. Panthers out of timeouts, get the ball back with a little bit over a minute left, but the drive failed pretty quickly. Cam Newton can't really throw down the field because his shoulder's all messed up, like I mentioned, and had a couple inaccurate throws, including the 4th down attempt near midfield. So that's how it went for the Panthers, who are now 6-8. They're mathematically still alive for the playoffs, but very, very, very tiny chance. So they're basically eliminated. And then, of course, for the Saints, remain the number one seed, regardless of if they would have lost or tied this game. But now they're still a game up on the Rams, and obviously the tiebreaker for the Rams are 12-2 now. And, Saints offense, once again, like we saw against Dallas a couple weeks ago, they sputtered. Drew Brees barely threw for 200 yards, didn't have any touchdowns. Got pressured a pretty decent amount. I think he got sacked like twice. But he was a little bit off. Offensive line, it's been a little bit patchwork because of injuries. They had some troubles. But the running game still managed 155 yards. I think Kamara had 67 and Mark Ingram had 63. So those guys really did a nice job, really kind of carrying the load offensively. And they were able to move the ball, obviously, there quite a bit in the fourth quarter. So that was kind of the big difference for them. And as far as the Panthers, again, with Newton's shoulder injury, he went something like 16 of 31 for, I think, a buck 29 or something like that. So obviously, just not a whole lot of production there. Very, very limited playbook right now because, Cam can't drive the ball. A lot of ugly throws. He can't throw real far down the field, so he has to dink and dunk a lot. And obviously, in this offense, he's been throwing a lot of shorter passes anyways, get rid of it quicker to avoid taking more unnecessary hits. Obviously, came in the game completing like 68.8% of his passes on the year, by far a career high. Yet he's still, despite the percentage, he still operates like a very inaccurate quarterback. And obviously, the shoulder injury just has worsened that over the last several weeks. So ultimately, now 6-game losing streak. Christian McCaffrey had like 120 total yards, but they had less than 100 rushing yards as a team. They don't really have a true number one receiver. DJ Moore, the rookie receiver, some games he steps up big, in other games he doesn't do a whole lot. Another big play, obviously, I should mention real quick too, right before the half, Carolina up 7-6. I think they were at right around the 20, 25-yard line, something like that, and they decide to try to throw it in the end zone so they can try to score a touchdown rather than just settle strictly for a field goal. Obviously, they got a new field goal kicker now, and Chandler Catanzaro. But Cam, reading it all the way to the right pylon of the end zone, staring down his receiver, I think it was Devin Funchess, and Eli Apple was on him the whole way and threw it right to Apple for the interception. So that was a big play as well. So, the way I look at it is Carolina, they got nothing to play for. Just shut down Cam for the last 2 games, let him rest. Last offseason he had to have shoulder surgery, possibility that, this could be the case for a second offseason in a row, but shut him down and try to get him ready for next year. But it's hard to believe this team was 6-2, and now they're 6-8, and they could end up finishing 6-10. They got Atlanta this Sunday, and then they finish off with the Saints again. Saints might not be playing for anything, so maybe the Panthers can steal that game. But at the end of the day, it's just amazing how this team has really collapsed. And, you just look at it and you say, okay, probably going to still bring back Ron Rivera next year. North Turner, before Newton's got banged up, was doing a nice job as a coordinator. So there's probably not going to be a whole lot of shakeups as far as the coaching goes. Really more the personnel and really about how, can Cam hold up for 16 games. That's going to be a big key for them. So it'll be interesting to see if they can kind of get off the schneid, so to speak, and bounce back and finally get a win this upcoming week against the Falcons. But it's not going to be easy because, again, you just don't know who the starting quarterback's going to be. Last couple of weeks, we thought possibly Taylor Heineke could be the starter. Cam remained in there, but I think now's the time to shut down Cam. And for the Saints, I think it's impressive about it is we've seen how the NFL, these NFL defenses are starting to catch up to these offenses. It was a historic season throughout the NFL, all the scoring, all the touchdowns, this and that, all these ridiculous high-scoring games. Well, now you're starting to see a lot of defensive struggles and low-scoring games, which includes the best offenses in the NFL. The Rams have gotten figured out the last couple games, have really struggled. Saints have had a few shaky games lately offensively. That loss in Dallas 13-10, where all their points came in the second half, still wasn't enough because they only scored 10, obviously. And this is another game, only 6 points at the half. Didn't score again until the fourth quarter and still barely hung on for the win. So, defenses are starting to catch up. Fortunately for New Orleans, their defense has played really, for the most part, lights out the last several weeks. So that's really big for them. And that's going to be big going forward, especially if they do have that number 1 seed in the NFC when it's all said and done, hosting all those playoff games in the Superdome. That's going to be huge. But I think for them, they couldn't quite win an ugly game in Dallas, but they were able to win this ugly game in Carolina. And so being able to win ugly, something that the Rams haven't been able to do these last couple of weeks, I think that's pretty impressive, and that goes a long way for them. So certainly some reasons to be concerned about their offense, but main thing is they don't really have a real deep threat as far as receivers go, so they're going to have to make that adjustment. But anyways, those are some of my thoughts on the Monday night game with the Panthers and the Saints. Please go to thesugarhuddle.com, check out the article. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and also like my Facebook page, The Sugar Huddle. Thank you.